and I am excited to hear even more about the next talk from our dear speaker, Josef Gundacker. So I would like to welcome you up for the second talk of today.
I hope you see all the picture also. That's fine, yeah. I would like to address now the question, what is the human being? Because another reason why so many interpersonal relationships do not work and are often shambled lies in the understanding of human nature. The question of the nature of man is still an unanswered question in philosophy. In today's materialistic view, human life is explained from the movement of matter. The human being is understood as a biopsychological being, and as Sigmund Freud called it, a psychic apparatus, a sexual being. We are only, in Sigmund Freud's viewpoint, a sexual being, and he was writing a lot about that. And in social science, human behavior is explained exclusively physical, and the human spirit is a function of the brain. If you enter this question, what is a human being, in Google search, you will get the answer, man is a self-thinking, independent, highly developed creature which, according to knowledge gained, descended from the ape. He has developed from a skillful hunter-gatherer to a modern worker in today's society. But this doesn't explain at all the essence of man. Aristotle spoke of man as a zoon politikon, a herd animal that feels at home and belongs to a tribal society. And according to Immanuel Kant, man is a rational being created by nature or an unmoved mover, or as a god, meaning God. Science agrees, man is a work of art, but opinions differ as to what distinguishes humans from animals. Furthermore, the question of the origin of life is still an unanswered question. Science simply cannot go and doesn't get behind the essence of the human being, because it only looks at the human being materialistically and according to external characteristics. So why is it so important to think and to talk about a holistic view of the human being? A view of the human being that includes our physical and our spiritual dimension. It is very important that, because we have to understand the human being from within, from that which moves us in our hearts. If we cannot do that, we will not be able to support in the development of the personality, and we will not be able to solve relationship problems. We humans are characterized by the fact that we can direct and consciously control our lives ourselves. Animals react. They cannot consciously decide, but we humans have incredible creative abilities. And these are the results of our mind and our consciousness. I therefore want to talk about the human being as a mental and spiritual being and his creative potential. We have to become aware which creative potential we really have. But let us first look at the human body. The human body is an incredible complex system of skin, bones, organs, nerves, and muscles. That is why we also speak of the human miracle. This system enables us to move, to take in food, to digest it, and to process the substances necessary for life from it. Through our sense organs, we can perceive the environment, interact with the environment, and react to its influences. Imagine approximately 7 trillion cells are coordinated physically and biochemically with an inconceivable amount of effort. The immune system, as the body's biological defense system, is vital for our health. It protects the body from harmful substances and disease-causing cell changes. And I will later on talk more about the spiritual immune system. Therefore, one can speak of that that our body has a physical intelligence. Physical growth and development occur naturally. Our physical body reaches maturity through an automatic process of growth according to the law of nature. It is only our personal responsibility to take effective care of our body and use our physical energies constructively. This means that we nourish our bodies properly, cleanse them regularly, and keep them healthy, and provide regular exercise and rest and relaxation. Many people today believe that they can do whatever they want with their bodies. Women sometimes think, my belly belongs to me, or men think, I can have as much sex as I want. However, this is a serious mistake. Let's now think about the human being as a spiritual being. We are more than just a bundle of physiological and psychological needs as portrayed by physiologists. We are at our core, we are spiritual beings. Our inner spiritual desires, our striving for meaning, for recognition, for dignity are the foundation and the creative force behind human culture and civilization. Let's first think about the intellect. Our intellect is the ability to analyze, to think logically and abstractly. We have the ability to imagine, to know, and to understand. Because of our mental intelligence, we are able to visualize, to set goals, to develop long-term perspective and think and plan strategically. The intellect by nature seeks truth, and this pursuit of truth has led to the development of science and philosophy. Furthermore, let's think about our emotional side, the emotional aspects of our mind seeks beauty. For example, when we see a flower, we feel that it is beautiful. We feel joy. When we hear a piano out of tune, we shudder. It is this emotional desire to create and appreciate beauty that is the source of art and music. Our emotional intelligence is our knowledge of ourselves, our self-awareness, our social sensitivity, empathy, and the ability to communicate successfully with others. By the way, we always communicate with our whole being and not only with words. The emotional intelligence is a sense of timing and social appropriateness. Long-term success in communication and relationships and leadership depend more on emotional intelligence than mental intelligence. I'm sure some of you have read the book about the emotional intelligence from Daniel Goleman. He writes, for excellence in all professions and fields, emotional intelligence is twice as important as purely cognitive skills. Then we humans have a free will. And our free will is the ability to systemically transform intentions and through our motives and goals, transform that into convincing results. Therefore, it is also referred to as implementation skills. We naturally want to do what is good, what is right. Therefore, we want to clearly recognize the difference between right and wrong. When we have to make a decision, we want to make the right one. And when we are not sure what is right, we are insecure and inwardly troubled. That means these three components, the intellect, the emotion, and will, must work harmoniously together, like head, heart, and hand, and that to fulfill or to realize our visions, to realize our dreams and goals. If one of these components is weak, it has a direct impact on the whole. But there's a fourth dimension as spiritual beings. It is our spiritual intelligence, our consciousness, our heart, and our conscience. You might have heard about the book Thinking with Your Soul from Richard Wallman. He writes, spiritual intelligence is the human capacity to ask ultimate questions about the meaning of life while experiencing the seamless connection between each of us and the world in which we live. By the spiritual, I mean man's ancient search, still ongoing today, for connection with something greater and more trustworthy than his ego. With his own soul, with others, with the worlds of history and nature, with the indivisible winds of spirit, with the mystery of life. The spiritual being reflects our longing for meaningfulness, for transcendence, and a connection with the infinite. One more word about the conscience. The conscience is generally regarded as a special instance in human consciousness. Immanuel Kant said, two things fill the mind with ever new and increasing admiration and awe. The starry sky above me and the moral law within me. Friedrich Nietzsche, on the other hand, defined conscience as a deep disease that prevents man from developing his true greatness. And both have been right. Viktor Frankl called the conscience the organ of sense, to be understood as the needle in the compass, the inner sense that enables us to distinguish between right and wrong. I call the conscience the immune system of our heart and mind. So what does this understanding of the human nature, of the spiritual nature of man, what does it mean in regards to our physical and mental health, and in regards to our relationships and our lifestyles? I would like to make a comparison which illustrates this. You might remember in the Middle Ages, people tried to heal themselves by bloodletting. Which paradigm, which understanding of the human nature was behind this? That people at the time thought the problem is in the blood, so out of it. And what would you do if you did not doubt this healing method because it did not work immediately? We would do more. But what happened when the bacteria were discovered? When the Hungarian doctor Ignaz Semmelweis found out that hygiene saves lives in the hospitals. Semmelweis and the Frenchman Pasteur discovered that bacteria were one of the main causes of disease. Later he was called the savior of mothers, but hardly at his time believed him. It took a long time for people to realize how dangerous bacteria and viruses can be. What do these two examples tell us about the health of our mind and our innermost heart? Let's think for a moment. What did Sigmund Freud do? He attempted to cure mental disorders through psychoanalysis and psychotherapy. In classical psychoanalysis, the patient lies on the couch and he is asked to say whatever is on his mind, no matter how ridiculous, how embarrassing or trivial these thoughts seem. What is the understanding of the psychic and spiritual nature behind this? Freud wanted to reach people's consciousness and reveal fears or other repressed emotions. Repressed things should be uncovered and unconscious processes should be made visible. The paradigm here is the disturbance, the problems lies in the repressed emotions. So out with it. But where thoughts of revenge and retaliation and the feelings of resentment and hatred also out? And did that method also solve the relationship problems? Not at all. Yes, it was, people felt liberated for the moment, but the deeper causes remain. So we can say that psychoanalysis can be compared to bloodletting in the Middle Ages. If I say today that the problem lies much deeper, it lies in the lack of purity of our thoughts, of our feeling and distorted conscience. I'm sure people will agree with me, but we will find it difficult to understand what this really means. What we need today is a hygiene of our heart, of our deepest soul. We need to reflect on our thoughts, feelings, and motives. We need to understand how dangerous, deceitful, corrupt thoughts and feelings are. If we don't face our deeper weaknesses, shortcomings, and sins, we will never be able to solve our relationship problems. Now I would like to talk about something important and about the freedom to choose. The most important issue we as human beings have to understand is freedom and responsibility. What is freedom and what our responsibility? There are great misunderstandings and misinterpretations about the term freedom. Yes, everyone strives for freedom. Everyone wants freedom. But only few people truly feel in their hearts they feel free. Freedom, in Latin libertas, is usually understood as the possibility to choose and to decide between different options without coercion. What comes to your mind when you think about freedom? I'm sure you will think about freedom of expression, freedom of choice, freedom of movement, freedom of education, freedom of religion, freedom of association. But that type of freedom refers only to external aspects of freedom. It refers only to things such as speaking, living, traveling, and people you associate with. The inner aspect of freedom refers to how we react in a particular situation. Viktor Frankl, after a very painful experiences in the concentration camp, he came to the conclusion about the what he called the last and real freedom. And he said, between stimulus and reaction lies a space. In this space lies our power to choose our reaction. And in our reaction lies our development and our freedom. He came in his situation, he came to be aware that however he was treated by the guards in that concentration camp, he could decide how that affects him. For sure, they treated him very cruelly, but his identity was intact. So he developed more and more as what he called that inner freedom. He wasn't affected by how he was treated by others. Yes, we can determine whom we meet every day. We can decide to whom to talk to, but we cannot determine their behavior. And we cannot decide his action nor their reaction. But we ourselves determine how we react in a situation to the other. I had to think a lot about that issue, and that's very, very interesting to me. What does now the freedom to choose mean? The freedom to choose means precisely that I must guide and direct my own life. Yes, all of us have inherited from the ancestors many, many things, and our genes determine many things. This is the foundation the human capital will receive. But the freedom to choose means that we are responsible for our own lives and actions. I am responsible for my own actions, reactions, and my own life. Therefore, our life is not the result of how we are treated by others. The freedom to choose means that we are co-creators and the creators of our lives. What comes to mind when you think of responsibility? Responsibility is generally understood to be a task that one takes on, an obligation to take responsibility for. For example, the responsibility to cook dinner or to do the laundry or to prepare for the next meeting. or to improve the communication in a team, whatever. Responsibility is understood as a choice to take on a task or an obligation. But responsibility for our lives, however, is not the choice. This is a mandate. This is our destiny. Our health, well-being, and happiness depend on the fulfillment of our responsibility. The point is our mindset, because I can take responsibility and do something willingly out of my own desire, or reluctantly, and that makes the difference. Therefore, I would like to encourage you to think differently about responsibility, to see responsibility as an opportunity to grow, whatever comes your way. Don't be dependent on how you're treated. Think more about how you treat the other person. And with that thought, I will conclude today's presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Josef Gundacker. I think you ended the presentation really well, and especially ending with responsibility. Actually, that's kind of how you started, because responsibility and relationships go hand in hand together, right? You cannot have a relationship with people without taking responsibility, or being there for them and understanding them. That's also how you started. Ending with this, I felt it was a really nice kind of circle that ended today's first session. So thank you very much. And here on the slide, you can also see Mr. Gundacker's email, so joseph.austria and then famgundacker.eu. So don't hesitate to also send more questions to him.